If you woke up feeling softer than usual, or like your heart is suddenly a little more open, that's not random. Venus moved into Pisces today, February 10th, and this is kind of a big deal for anyone who cares about love, relationships, or just feeling things deeply. Like, Venus doesn't get better than this. Pisces is the sign where Venus is exalted, which basically means she's at her most powerful, her most beautiful self. And we're going to be in this energy through March 6th, so buckle up, because the next few weeks are going to feel different. Before I get too far into this, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe if you're already feeling what I'm talking about. And drop feeling this in the comments so I know how many of you are picking up on this shift. Alright, so let me explain what's actually happening here. Venus in Pisces is one of those transits where you don't necessarily see the effects right away in some dramatic external way. It's more like you feel different. Your heart feels different. The way you experience attraction, connection, even beauty, it all gets filtered through this really dreamy, emotional, compassionate lens. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, and it's all about dissolving boundaries, right? It's the sign of universal love, of seeing beyond the surface, of feeling everything so deeply that sometimes you don't even know where you end and someone else begins. And when Venus, the planet that rules love and desire and what we value, moves into this sign, it's like all those walls we usually keep up around our hearts, they start to get porous. Now here's the thing, this can be absolutely beautiful. It can also be a little confusing if you're someone who likes clear boundaries and logical decision-making when it comes to relationships. Because Venus in Pisces doesn't really do logic. It does feeling, it does intuition, it does longing and compassion and this sort of quiet, tender vulnerability that's hard to describe but really easy to feel. You might notice yourself getting emotional over things that wouldn't normally get to you. You might feel more drawn to people who need help, or more willing to forgive someone who hurt you. You might find yourself daydreaming about love in a way that feels almost cinematic, like everything's a little more romantic, a little more poetic. And actually, the timing of this is kind of perfect, because Valentine's Day is in 4 days. Venus literally moved into its most romantic sign right before the most romantic holiday of the year. If that's not cosmic timing, I don't know what is. So if you've been feeling like you want to do something sweet for someone, or if you're single and suddenly feeling more open to meeting someone, that's this energy. It's softening you, it's opening you up. But I want to be real with you about something, because Venus in Pisces isn't all fairy tales and rose petals. There's a shadow side to this transit, and it's important to be aware of it. When your boundaries get soft like this, when your heart is this open, you can also become vulnerable to seeing what you want to see instead of what's actually there. Pisces energy can be kind of idealistic, you know. It wants to believe the best in people. It wants to believe in love and connection and redemption. And that's beautiful, but it can also lead you to overlook red flags or to project feelings onto someone that they're not actually feeling back, or to stay in situations that aren't serving you because you're so focused on the potential of what it could be instead of the reality of what it is. So here's what I'd say. Use this Venus in Pisces energy to soften, to open your heart, to be more compassionate and forgiving. Absolutely. But also keep one foot on the ground. Check in with yourself. Make sure that what you're feeling is based on real connection and not just fantasy, because Venus in Pisces can blur that line pretty easily. Okay, so let's talk about what this looks like for different people, because obviously not everyone's going to experience this the same way. It depends on where Pisces falls in your chart, but I'm going to focus on the signs that are really feeling this the most. Pisces, you are feeling this directly. Venus is in your sign, which means you're basically walking around radiating this magnetic, attractive energy right now. People are going to be drawn to you. You're going to feel more confident, more beautiful, more yourself in the best possible way. If you're single, this is actually one of your best times of the year for meeting someone, because you're just naturally more magnetic. And if you're in a relationship, your partner is probably going to fall in love with you all over again, honestly. You're just glowing right now. Use this time to do things that make you feel good, to express yourself creatively, to experiment with how you present yourself to the world. This is your moment. Now, Cancer and Scorpio, your water signs, so you're also going to vibe with this energy really well. For Cancer, Venus moving through Pisces hits your 9th house, which is all about expansion, adventure, beliefs. You might feel pulled toward learning something new, or traveling, or connecting with people from different backgrounds. Romance could have a kind of adventurous quality to it right now, like you're drawn to people who expand your world in some way. And for Scorpio, this is hitting your 5th house of romance, creativity and pleasure. This is actually a really good time for you to let yourself feel joy, to play, to be more spontaneous in love. You're usually pretty intense and controlled with your emotions, but Venus in Pisces is asking you to loosen up a little bit. Let yourself be vulnerable. Let yourself have fun without analyzing everything. Virgo, I have to talk to you separately because this one's interesting. Venus in Pisces is moving through your 7th house of partnerships, which is your relationship sector. And here's the thing, Virgo, you're kind of the opposite of Pisces in a lot of ways, right? You're practical, you're analytical, you like things to make sense and be organized. Pisces is none of those things. So Venus moving through your partnership house in this sign is asking you to stop trying to perfect your relationships and just feel them. Stop analyzing whether someone is right for you on paper and pay attention to how they make you feel. This transit is teaching you that love doesn't have to be logical to be real. It's asking you to trust your heart a little more and your head a little less. Sagittarius, Venus in Pisces is in your 4th house, your home and family sector. You might feel pulled to spend more time at home right now, to nest a little bit, to focus on your private life instead of your public one. This can be a really tender time for you emotionally. You might be revisiting old feelings about family, about your past, about where you come from. And if you're in a relationship, you might want to create more intimacy and emotional safety with your partner. This is not your usual adventurous, expansive energy, Sag. This is asking you to go inward, to be more vulnerable, to create emotional depth in your connections. For everyone else, you're still going to feel this transit. It's just going to show up in different areas of your life depending on where Pisces falls in your chart. But the general energy is the same. More softness, more compassion, more openness in how you relate to love and beauty and connection. Now, I want to talk about what you actually do with this energy, because it's one thing to feel more romantic and open, and it's another thing to navigate that in a healthy way. First of all, if you're someone who tends to be really guarded with your heart, this is actually a good time to practice being more vulnerable. Not recklessly, but intentionally. Let someone see a side of you that you usually keep hidden. Share something you normally wouldn't share. Venus in Pisces rewards emotional honesty and authenticity. If you're single and you want to meet someone, this is a good time to put yourself out there, but in a natural way. You don't have to be on every dating app or going to every social event. Venus in Pisces works more through synchronicity and natural connection. You might meet someone in an unexpected place or reconnect with someone from your past. The key is to be open and receptive without forcing anything. And if you're in a relationship, use this time to deepen your emotional connection with your partner. Have those conversations you've been avoiding. Express how you feel more openly. Do something romantic and thoughtful. Venus in Pisces loves gestures that come from the heart, even small ones. It's not about grand displays, it's about genuine emotional presence. But here's where I want to give you a reality check. Venus in Pisces can also make you want to rescue people, or merge with them in unhealthy ways, or lose yourself in relationships. So pay attention to that. If you find yourself taking on someone else's emotions as if they're your own, pause. If you're giving more than you're receiving, pause. If you're ignoring your own needs because you're so focused on someone else's, pause. Compassion is beautiful, but it shouldn't come at the cost of your own well-being. Also, be careful about making big relationship decisions right now, especially if they're based on feelings alone. Venus in Pisces can make everything feel really intense and meaningful, and sometimes it is, but sometimes it's just the energy amplifying what you're feeling. So if you're thinking about getting back together with an ex, or making a big commitment, or ending something, just make sure you're seeing the situation clearly and not through a filter of what you wish it could be. Here's something else that's interesting about this transit. Venus in Pisces isn't just about romantic love. It's about how you connect with the world in general. You might feel more drawn to art, music, poetry, anything that moves you emotionally. You might want to help people more, or volunteer, or just be of service in some way. Your creativity could also get a boost right now, especially if you work with anything visual or emotional. Pisces is the most artistic sign of the zodiac, and Venus here can unlock a really intuitive, flowing kind of creativity. You might also notice that your dreams are more vivid right now, or that your intuition is stronger. Pisces is a very psychic sign, and Venus moving through it can heighten your sensitivity to energy, to other people's emotions, to subtle cues that you might normally miss. Pay attention to what your gut is telling you. Pay attention to synchronicities. There's a lot of magic available right now if you're open to it. And honestly, this is a good time to practice self-compassion too. Venus in Pisces asks you to be as gentle with yourself as you are with others. Treat yourself the way you treat someone you really care about. Rest when you need to rest. Say no when you need to say no. Forgive yourself for things you're still holding on to. This transit is about softening, and that includes softening toward yourself. I also want to mention that Venus in Pisces is going to make a trine to Jupiter in Cancer on February 22nd, which is going to amplify this whole vibe even more. Jupiter is about expansion and abundance, and when it connects harmoniously with Venus, it's like everything Venus is already doing gets bigger. So that could be a particularly sweet day for romance, for connection, for just feeling good. Mark it on your calendar. The other thing to watch out for is that Mercury is also in Pisces right now, and it's about to go retrograde on February 25th. So we're going to have both Venus and Mercury retrograde in Pisces at the same time, which is a lot of watery, emotional, confusing energy all at once. Mercury retrograde in Pisces can make communication really unclear, so be extra careful about how you're expressing yourself and how you're interpreting what other people are saying. Don't assume you're on the same page. Ask questions, clarify, and if something feels off or confusing in a relationship, don't just ignore it. Address it gently, but address it. But overall, Venus in Pisces is a beautiful transit. It's one of those times of the year where love feels more possible, where connection feels easier, where your heart just naturally opens a little wider. And we need that, you know. We need times where the cosmic energy supports us in being softer, in trusting more, in believing in love even when the world feels chaotic. So here's what I'd say. Over the next few weeks, let yourself feel. Let yourself be vulnerable. Let yourself believe in the possibility of real connection, even if it scares you a little. Let yourself express love in whatever way feels natural to you, whether that's through words or actions or creativity or just being present with someone. Venus in Pisces is giving you permission to lead with your heart instead of your head, and that's a rare gift. Don't waste it by staying guarded or cynical. At the same time, keep your eyes open. Don't lose yourself in fantasy. Don't ignore red flags because you want something to work so badly. Don't give more than you have to give. This transit works best when you're soft but still grounded, open but still aware. And if you're feeling emotionally sensitive right now, or if you're crying more easily, or if you're just feeling everything more intensely, that's normal. That's this energy. You're not being dramatic. You're not overreacting. You're just more attuned to your emotions and to the emotions of the people around you. Honor that. Create space for it. Let yourself feel whatever you're feeling without judgment. Actually, let me expand on that for a second, because I think this is really important. We live in a world that doesn't always make space for sensitivity. We're told to toughen up, to not take things personally, to keep our emotions in check. And most of the time, we learn to do that. We learn to compartmentalize, to push feelings down, to function even when our hearts are heavy. But Venus in Pisces is asking you to do the opposite. It's asking you to stop treating your sensitivity like it's a problem that needs to be fixed. Your emotions right now are not obstacles, they're information. They're telling you something about what you need, what you value, what's missing, what's present. And the more you try to suppress them or rationalize them away, the more they're going to find ways to surface. So instead of fighting what you're feeling, just let it move through you. Cry if you need to cry. Journal if you need to process. Talk to someone you trust if you need to be heard. Listen to music that matches your mood. Watch movies that make you feel something. Whatever helps you metabolize what's coming up for you emotionally, do that. And here's something else. You might be picking up on other people's emotions more than usual right now. Like you walk into a room and you can just feel the tension, or you talk to someone and you absorb their sadness without even realizing it. That's a Pisces thing. Pisces doesn't have strong boundaries between self and other, and when Venus is here, that permeability increases. So if you suddenly feel anxious or sad or upset and you can't figure out why, ask yourself, is this actually mine, or am I picking up on someone else's energy? Sometimes just asking that question is enough to create a little separation. If you realize you are absorbing other people's stuff, you don't have to carry it. You can acknowledge it. You can have compassion for what they're going through, but you don't have to make it yours. Imagine setting it down or handing it back to them, or surrounding yourself with a protective bubble that filters what you let in. Your empathy is a gift, but it shouldn't drain you. Venus in Pisces is teaching you how to be compassionate without losing yourself in the process. And if you're someone who's usually pretty emotionally controlled, or who prides themselves on being logical and rational, this transit might feel uncomfortable at first. You might feel like you're losing your grip, or like you're being too emotional, or like you're not yourself. But here's the thing, you are yourself. You're just accessing a part of yourself that doesn't get as much airtime usually. And that part of you, the part that feels deeply and loves openly and connects intuitively, that part deserves to be expressed too. You don't have to choose between being strong and being soft. Venus in Pisces is showing you that you can be both. Let me talk to the overthinkers for a second, because I know some of you are listening to this and analyzing every feeling you're having right now, trying to make sense of it, trying to categorize it, trying to figure out what it means and what you should do about it. And I want you to know that you don't have to understand everything you're feeling in order for it to be valid. Sometimes emotions don't make logical sense. Sometimes you just feel something and there's no clear reason why, and that's okay. Venus in Pisces is actually teaching you that not everything needs to be figured out or solved or rationalized. Some things just need to be felt. And I get it. If you're someone who's built your whole identity around being the person who has it together, the person who doesn't fall apart, the person who thinks their way through problems instead of feeling their way through them, this transit can feel really destabilizing. It can feel like you're suddenly not good at being yourself anymore. But what's actually happening is that you're being asked to expand your definition of what it means to be yourself. You're being asked to include the messy parts, the tender parts, the parts that don't have all the answers. And those parts don't make you weak, they make you whole. Think about it this way. You've probably spent years developing your rational mind, your ability to analyze situations, your capacity to stay calm and controlled when things get intense. And that's valuable. That's a real skill. But if that's the only mode you operate in, you're essentially cutting yourself off from half of the human experience. You're missing out on the richness that comes from just letting yourself feel without immediately trying to make sense of it or fix it or make it more manageable. Venus in Pisces is inviting you to trust that you can handle the full spectrum of your emotions without losing yourself in them. And here's something that might help. Being emotional doesn't mean being out of control. It doesn't mean making impulsive decisions or letting your feelings run your life. It just means acknowledging what's there, giving it space, letting it inform you without letting it dictate everything you do. You can feel something deeply and still make wise choices. You can cry and still be strong. You can be vulnerable and still be capable. These things aren't mutually exclusive. They're actually what makes you a complete person, instead of just a functioning one. So if you notice yourself judging your own emotions during this transit, like why am I crying about this, this is stupid, or I shouldn't be feeling this way, I'm being ridiculous, just pause. Notice that you're doing that. And then try to extend yourself the same compassion you'd extend to someone you really care about. If your best friend came to you feeling exactly what you're feeling right now, you wouldn't tell them they're being stupid or ridiculous. You'd listen. You'd validate them. You'd hold space for what they're going through. Venus in Pisces is asking you to do that for yourself. This is also a good time to check in with your self-care routines, because when you're feeling this much, you need to be extra gentle with yourself. Maybe that means saying no to plans that feel draining. Maybe it means taking more baths, or going for walks by water, or just giving yourself permission to rest without feeling guilty about it. Pisces energy needs downtime. It needs space to dream, to process, to just be. So if you're feeling tired, that's not laziness. That's your system telling you it needs to slow down and integrate everything you're feeling. And actually, let me be more specific about what self-care looks like during Venus in Pisces, because it's different than other times of the year. This isn't the transit where you power through with green smoothies and intense workouts and aggressive productivity. This is the transit where you're gentle with yourself in really tangible ways. Like, you wake up and instead of immediately checking your phone and launching into your day, you just lie there for a few minutes. You notice how you feel. You take a few deep breaths. You move slowly. Water becomes your friend during this transit. And I don't just mean drinking enough water, though that's important too. I mean being near water, being in water. There's something about Pisces energy that's soothed by water. So if you can take baths with salt or essential oils, do that. If you can sit by the ocean or a lake or a river, do that. If you can just stand in the shower longer than usual and let the water wash over you, do that. It sounds simple, but Pisces is a water sign, and Venus moving through it responds really well to that element. It helps you process emotions that feel too big to hold. Also, pay attention to what you're consuming during this time. And I don't just mean food, though that matters too. I mean what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're listening to, who you're spending time with. Venus in Pisces makes you really porous to energy and influence. So if you're watching violent shows or doom scrolling through terrible news or hanging out with people who drain you, you're going to feel it more than usual. Your system can't filter things out as easily right now. So be intentional. Choose gentler content. Choose uplifting music. Choose people who make you feel safe and seen. And if you're feeling tired during this transit, like genuinely exhausted even when you're getting enough sleep, that's normal. Pisces rules the subconscious. And when Venus is here, there's a lot happening beneath the surface that you're not even aware of consciously. You're processing old memories, old emotions, old patterns. Your dreams might be more intense. Your intuition might be working overtime. All of that takes energy, even if you're not actively doing anything. So rest is not optional during Venus in Pisces. It's essential. Let yourself nap if you need to. Let yourself go to bed early. Let yourself have lazy mornings where you don't accomplish anything, and you don't feel bad about it. Here's another thing about self-care during this transit. It's a really good time to do things that feed your soul, not just your body. So maybe that means going to a museum and just standing in front of art that moves you. Maybe it means listening to music that makes you cry. Maybe it means reading poetry or watching films that are beautiful and sad and make you feel something deep. Pisces craves beauty and meaning, and Venus here amplifies that. Your heart needs to be fed with things that remind you why being alive matters, why feeling things matters, why beauty exists. And honestly, this is a good time to be alone more than usual if you need to be. Not in an isolating way, but in a restorative way. Sometimes when you're feeling everything this intensely, being around people is just too much. You need quiet. You need solitude. You need space to just be with yourself without performing or explaining or managing anyone else's emotions. So if you need to cancel plans, cancel them. If you need to say no to social obligations, say no. Your energy is precious right now, and you get to be protective of it. And honestly, some of you might find that you're grieving during this transit, even if you can't name exactly what you're grieving. Pisces is the sign of endings, of letting go, of releasing what no longer serves. And when Venus moves through here, it can bring up old heartbreaks, old losses, old disappointments that you thought you'd already moved past. But grief isn't linear, it comes in waves. And Venus in Pisces can stir up those waves so they can finally wash through you and out of you. So if you're feeling sad about something that happened months or years ago, that's okay. That grief is still valid. Let it have its moment. Let it move. It's not pulling you backward. It's clearing space for something new. Let me talk about this grief piece more, because I think it's important and a lot of people don't expect it during what's supposed to be a love transit. But Venus in Pisces isn't just about new romance and feeling good. It's also about releasing old love, old hurt, old versions of yourself that were shaped by past relationships. You might find yourself thinking about an ex you haven't thought about in years. Not because you want them back, but because there's still something unresolved energetically, some lesson you didn't fully integrate, some part of yourself you lost in that relationship that you're ready to reclaim now. Or you might find yourself mourning the relationship you wanted to have with someone but never did. The connection that almost happened but didn't quite. The love that was real but couldn't work for whatever reason. Venus in Pisces holds space for that kind of grief, the grief of things that were never fully realized, possibilities that dissolved before they could solidify. And that grief is just as real as grieving something you actually had and lost. Some of you might also be grieving the person you used to be before certain experiences changed you. Maybe you were more open before you got hurt. Maybe you were more trusting before someone betrayed that trust. Maybe you were more romantic before reality taught you to be more guarded. And Venus in Pisces can bring up this tender sadness about who you were and what you lost along the way. But here's what I want you to understand. You're not grieving because you need to become that person again. You're grieving so you can integrate what happened and move forward as someone who's both experienced and still capable of openness. Someone who's been hurt but hasn't let that hurt close you off completely. Grief during Venus in Pisces is actually productive grief. It's the kind that moves through you and leaves you lighter on the other side. So don't be afraid of it. Don't try to push it down or distract yourself from it. If you need to cry about something that happened 5 years ago, cry. If you need to write letters you'll never send to people who hurt you, write them. If you need to have imaginary conversations where you finally say what you never got to say, have them. Whatever helps you complete what was left incomplete, do that. This transit is giving you permission to finally let go of what you've been carrying. Alright, so that's Venus in Pisces. It's in effect now through March 6th, so you got almost a month to work with this energy. And honestly, with Valentine's Day coming up in just a few days, this is the perfect time to lean into romance, into connection, into whatever makes your heart feel full. Whether you're single or in a relationship, whether you're focused on romantic love or just love in general, this transit is here to remind you that vulnerability isn't weakness. Softness isn't naivety. Compassion isn't foolishness. These are strengths. And Venus in Pisces is giving you the cosmic support to express them fully. Because here's what I've noticed about Venus in Pisces over the years. The people who resist it, who try to stay hard and closed off during this transit, they tend to feel isolated and disconnected. But the people who lean into it, who allow themselves to soften and open up, even when it's scary, they're the ones who experience these really beautiful, meaningful connections. They're the ones who have those moments that feel like magic, where everything just clicks and you remember why love matters. And look, I get it, being vulnerable is terrifying. Opening your heart means risking getting hurt. Trusting someone means they could let you down. But the alternative is staying protected and staying alone. And Venus in Pisces is here to tell you that's not actually safer. It's just lonelier. Real safety doesn't come from walls. It comes from knowing yourself well enough to recognize who's worthy of your trust, and then being brave enough to give it. So over these next few weeks, take some risks with your heart. Not reckless ones, but intentional ones. Tell someone how you feel, ask for what you need, show up as your full feeling, sensitive self, and see what happens. Some people won't get it. Some people won't be able to meet you there. And that's okay. That's information. That tells you who's aligned with where you're going and who isn't. But some people will get it. Some people will meet you there. And those connections, the ones that can hold your softness and your depth, those are the ones worth cultivating. And if you're single and you're feeling lonely during this transit, I want to say something. Loneliness during Venus in Pisces isn't just about wanting a partner. It's often about longing for a deeper connection with yourself, with life, with meaning. So instead of just focusing on finding someone else to fill that space, ask yourself what you're actually craving. Is it intimacy? Is it being seen? Is it feeling like you matter? And then find ways to give that to yourself first. Write about what you're feeling. Create something that expresses your inner world. Spend time with people who actually see you. Connect with something bigger than yourself, whether that's nature or art or spirituality, or just the awareness that you're part of this vast, mysterious universe. Venus in Pisces works best when you're not desperately seeking love from outside yourself, but when you're already overflowing with it and you're just looking for someone to share it with. There's a difference between I need you to complete me and I'm already whole, and I'd love to experience life alongside you. Venus in Pisces can help you shift from the first to the second, but only if you're willing to do the inner work of filling your own cup first. If this resonated with you, leave a like and subscribe, and comment feeling this so I know you're picking up on the energy. And take care of your heart over these next few weeks, all right? Be gentle with yourself. Be open with others. Trust the process. Trust that your sensitivity is not a flaw. Trust that the tears you're crying are clearing something out. Trust that the love you're capable of giving and receiving is worth the risk of being hurt. Venus in Pisces is on your side. Let it soften you. Let it open you. Let it remind you that being human means feeling everything. And that's not a weakness. That's the whole point. I'll see you in the next one. If this resonated with you, leave a like and subscribe, and comment feeling this so I know you're picking up on the energy. And take care of your heart over these next few weeks, all right? Be gentle with yourself. Be open with others. Trust the process. I'll see you in the next one.